Commandments monument up in the courthouse here in Alabama. And the column that I wrote was "When the Constitution and the Bible Collide." And what I said was the moment that Judge Moore chose to become a judge, then when it came to his job, his primary focus was to uphold and protect the Constitution of the United States. And so even if you are a strongly religious person, when you're operating within that framework, the Constitution is actually what you are governed by.
Right.
And so my point there was, you can be a person of faith, you can maintain your position of faith, but that's what you abide by. And so this Supreme Court ruling, it only speaks to the granting of licenses. So the state, county clerks, judges, whatever, can't deny somebody a marriage license based upon race, based upon sexual orientation. So that's what this applies to.
Well, see, this gets us into the Indiana law and where equal protection meets religious faith. At some point, I think this is where some of these Republican candidates, you may hear them on this today. At some point, I think they're going to try to argue that, heck, if they can get this, then they can force, a devout Catholic to perform a same-sex marriage, and that's what's next. And maybe that is what's next. Who knows? Because the gay lobby is so direct and so pinpoint on what they go after that you never know where the next argument, where the next legal battle will be. But I know the fear on the right has always been that private businesses will be forced in some way to perform certain ceremonies or do certain services for people that they religiously have some sort of a disagreement with. And I think actually that is, generally speaking, I think I can see that becoming the next battle on this type of issue.
Well, and to your point, even with this Supreme Court ruling, you're going to have those battles,
yes.
And you're going to have those because look, I've heard pastors say in other forums, what happens when a couple says, okay, well, we want to be at this church, we want to be over the marriage ministry,
right.
And then all of a sudden, I've heard pastors say, well, I'm going to get attacked and criticized by saying, no, that's not our policy, and then what happens next? And so again, that's just one of the things. And so even with this decision, you're still going to have various legal battles. What from a gay lobby standpoint, what do you think is next?
Well, you know what? I think that they're winning such huge segments and quadrants of what they've wanted ideologically. I'd be surprised if they went for something that forces people to do something that clashes up against religion. I'd be surprised if the gay lobby went for that. They typically go for things that deal with very basic things like, do gay people have the right to transfer their benefits at work? Or, the gay marriage thing is a biggie, but that doesn't really force anyone else to do anything. That's really about two individuals deciding to do something together. The gay lobby is typically not that interested in making people who are not gay do something that they're really not comfortable with. They typically do things that are just, hey, if I want to transfer my benefits to you and we're gay, that's just what we're doing. That has nothing to do with any third person. So I doubt that they'll go for that, but time will tell.
Hold tight 1 second. Going to a break. Be back on the Roland Martin Show in a moment. We'll take your phone calls, 888-669-2281.
We'll be back with the Roland Martin Show after these important messages on the Empowerment Radio Network.
917. Is that North Carolina?
No, that's New York.
Oh, it's New York? Oh, they ran out of 212s. That's right.
Oh no, you remember that whole deal?
Yeah.
Remember all New York people were pissed off? They were oh my God, they were acting a fool. It was all the prestige of a
212, and if I can't have it, my life isn't complete. Yeah.
All right, Roland Martin. Hey, who's this? Hey, what's happening? What time and what's the topic? Okay. You said 3 to 5. That might be difficult because I'm going to be in coverage of Reverend Pinckney's funeral. Yeah. I don't know because I'll be anchoring our coverage. Yep. Right. So that's the only issue. Let me see. The problem is we don't know when the president is going to be speaking. That's the problem. Well, no. It starts at 11. No, he doesn't land until 1:30.
News, politics.
Yep. Well, I'm on the radio right now until 1 p.m. So let me just get a sense of where I am, and so I'll have to hit you in between breaks on the air. Okay. All right. I got to go back on the air right now. So shoot me an email and then I'll respond that way while I'm on the air. Okay. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.
Giving you the play-by-play every day on Black America's News Talk and Information Station.
We need justice, real justice we need. Giving you the play-by-play every day on Black America's News Talk and Information Station. This is the Roland Martin Show on the Empowerment Radio.
Well, I'm not a politician because I'm too honest. You cannot be a politician and actually be honest. Trust me.
No, Benny Thompson's coming close.
Yeah, but but a politician actually gonna say what you actually have to say, and cats ain't trying to hear that much truth. They don't want to hear that much truth. No, they don't want to hear that. Folks, welcome back to the Roland Martin Show. Number to call is 888-669-2281, 888-669-2281. Lots of news happening across the country in just about 30 minutes. President Barack Obama will go before the cameras to speak. Before I get back to this, that's interesting. Were you before I come back talk about Supreme Court same-sex ruling? He came out yesterday,
right,
and talked about the Affordable Care Act.
Right.
You know, and I tweeted, I hope he said something about the fair housing decision.
Right.
Nothing was said.
I have to say honestly that the president, when it comes to issues that are not what I would call Black agenda issues, man, is he out there and is he talking? And frankly, I'll say it honestly, I'm jealous. I'm jealous as somebody who wants to see Black agenda issues forward and advance. I'm jealous when I see gay advocates and Hispanic advocates win and win big. But I'm jealous, but I realize too that they do well to get out there, speak for their issues, and they push and they push and they push. We saw this guy at the White House the other day with the deportation thing, or the deportation thing. I mean, they push hard, and it gets the president reacting. It gets him out there. It gets them, him talking. And when it comes to a Black issue, everybody's like shy, and we don't really want to say anything. Let's have an inside game, and let's keep our voice down. And I'm really tired of that after 6 years. We'll see what he says at Senator Pinckney's eulogy today. I think he will actually hit a home run. I'm predicting that he'll hit a home run. I'm hoping he'll hit a home run. But really, I think that we need to demand sometimes that our politicians, Black and white, speak out on Black issues just like they do everybody else.
Well, I mean, here's I think the difference. And you're right. I think that absolutely, if you look at what LGBT activists have gotten, what they have made clear was even when they have gotten significant support from President Obama, they still push. And so what that said, I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I mean, I remember when Don't Ask, Don't Tell. They finally voted that changed that law in Congress. Literally 48 hours. I never forget the headline on Politico was "What's next."
Right.
And the point that I have made to African Americans for quite some time, the point I have made to Black leaders for quite some time, is that when you purposely silence yourself, then you will be ignored. And when you purposely say, "Yo, man, let's don't say nothing." I mean, I remember I was coming out of a meeting at the White House, and gay activists were chanting themselves to the White House fence, protesting "Don't Ask, Don't Tell." And the thing is, while they were chanting themselves to the fence, you had gay activists who were inside meeting with the president, and that's their deal.
Exactly.
And so their deal is, we're going to get all that we want. And I just think Black leadership, frankly, has been a bunch of wimps, have been scared to say or do anything of, "Oh, no, we don't want to embarrass the Black president." Gay folks at an LGBT White House reception heckled the president on the issue. And what happened? The news media did stories about Obama deporting gays.
Right. Not only that, they heckled the first lady one time. Somebody had heckled the first lady at an event on gay marriage, because when it comes to advancing an issue, you really do have to use your outside game tactics and your inside game tactics. Black leaders always argue, "Well, we got the inside game covered. We don't have to really protest or really say anything on TV." And quite frankly, the bottom line of this is it hasn't worked. I talked to Congressman Luis Gutierrez about the time he chained himself to the White House fence over deportation, and he said the president got mad at him and came up and he told him he shouldn't have done that. But then the president did exactly what he asked for. I mean, it was like unbelievable. So it actually works. And unfortunately, I know the White House is very uncomfortable about being embarrassed, which any White House would be. But they get embarrassed, but they actually do what these advocates pressure them to do oftentimes. So, I mean, we just saw for the last 8 months over Black Lives Matter and some of the police brutality issues. They got out in the streets, they made some noise. I've been one to say that the marches don't work, but in that case, the marches did work. They got press, they got attention. Phil Agnew challenged the president in the Oval Office, Ashley Yates. And then lo and behold, there's a police commission, and then there's an executive order to take the militarization out of policing. So, I mean, it actually worked to put that pressure on. Pressure works in politics. And a lot of our legacy civil rights leaders, unfortunately, don't understand that.
Yeah, well, and of course, we all know the story with A. Philip Randolph, the great labor leader, the Pullman Porters, when he was at a meeting with President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And what happened? He literally was saying what needs to be done for Black folks, and he was sitting there, and Roosevelt said, "Philip, everything that you said is correct. Now go make me do it." Right. A politician will not do what he doesn't want to do unless he is forced to do so.
Yeah,
pure and simple.
And that part of it really is not the president's fault. There has to be an ask. There has to be an agenda. You can't wait until 2013 to put an agenda down. And that's what we say about gay advocates. When they came before the president, before the first 100 days, they had a basically book agenda.
No. Hold on. Let's correct that. It wasn't multi-page. It was a 54-page agenda.
Right.
LGBT activists gave President Obama a 54-page agenda.
Right.
And it took Black folks 5.5 years to come up with a 7-page pamphlet that I haven't even seen anybody read from.
Right, exactly. So what that shows you, of course, is the gay rights advocates had their game together. They had their 54-page agenda. Yes, we understand that Blacks have a vast array of issues, a vaster array of issues, I would argue, than any other advocacy group under the Democratic umbrella. But still, we have to pick some things, pick your top 3 and go after it. And you see with the gay rights activists, they went after, Don't Ask, Don't Tell immediately. When that was done, they went after.
In fact, hold on, but also what happened? 2010, they felt Obama was dragging his feet on Don't Ask, Don't Tell. They closed their checkbooks. They said we ain't give it to Democrats.
Right, right.
And the White House, the president, they were all begging. Didn't matter. We ain't giving y'all. And so what happened? After they massive loss in 2010, they needed those checks. And so what happened? The president does this all-out push. Congress all of a sudden changes the law. Checkbooks open again. But then they said you need to sign the executive order dealing with discrimination in federal contracts. And it was one after the other when he was dancing around on same-sex marriage. But first of all, and let's also correct, the president was never against same-sex marriage. That was a lie. No, it was. When the president ran for the state senate, he signed, and I'll never forget, he signed this pledge believing in all gay rights. When he ran for the U.S. Senate, all of a sudden he's like, well, my faith says I believe in marriage between a man and a woman. Right. He was lying the whole time. So the White House got mad at me. When I said the president didn't evolve. The president evolved, devolved, and evolved. And so they got mad because I was telling the truth. I was telling the truth. He always supported gay marriage. He always did. He only changed his view because he felt he needed to change his view to get black votes because he needed to be able to have that position running for the U.S. Senate and then running for president. That's actually what happened. But because he would not publicly come out to support same-sex marriage, they were kicking him, pressuring him as well. And he has responded to every amount of pressure that's come from LGBT activists. And that's how politics works. You're right. You got to have an inside game and an outside game.
Exactly. And the outside game, unfortunately, I think for Black advocates has been to effectively mirror what the administration has wanted and help them with their PR and help them with their advocacy rather than to ask for something when they visit the White House the multiple times in which they visit. What we find out after these meetings is it was the president telling them what he wanted on something, usually immigration. You know, Cornell Brooks, I need some help from you, on the PR end for immigration. I'm like, okay, that's nice. What are your Black agenda items that you can do for? But, you would never do that with gay advocates. Gay advocates would be like, wait a minute. We're here for our agenda. We're not here for somebody else's agenda. And there's no shame in that. This is politics. Whether you're the NRA or AIPAC or anything else, you fight for your agenda item. You're here to fight for somebody else. People aren't giving you money to fight for somebody else. So that's something that we only, it seems like, in Black advocacy do that nobody else does. It's pretty amazing.
I mean, that is exactly what is taking place. Obviously, first of all, I'm talking to Lauren Victoria Burke, politic365.com. Folks, there's a huge scene out at the Supreme Court where gay and lesbian activists and supporters, they are reveling in this Supreme Court decision, this 5-4 Supreme Court decision affirming the right to marry, right to have same-sex marriages in America. Comments are pouring in as we speak as well. We're going to go to a break right now. When we come back, we're going to take your phone calls, chat more with Lauren to the top of the hour. Number to call is 888-669-2281, 888-669-2281. Also, attorney Sophia Nelson will be also joining us as well. This is the Roland Martin Show. Back in a moment.
It's coming out of the left.
Come on.
Let's see what he says. It's just like
Periscope. What's up, Meerkat? What's up?
It's like what you said with the Kenya Ireland thing.
Oh,
his grandfather.
I would never. I was so hot.
And that Kenya trip is about to happen. I think it's on the 24th or the 22nd. It's going to be very interesting.
I was so hot. Yeah, no, they
stretch that to the limit. See what they do.
Yeah, it's gonna be real interesting to see how do they shift. I'm telling you right now, Pete's gonna get it short in the stick.
What do you mean?
Coverage. Oh.
Because that coverage got to happen. See, the thing is the gays are in so much, they control so much. I mean, in terms of programming, they're everywhere. It's almost like You might be right about the COVID, but I don't know. They can't short shrift Trump stuff. I don't think. I mean, I don't think that decision was a shock.
No, no, decision wasn't even remotely a shock. If anybody was shocked by this Supreme Court decision, they're blind. They're blind. I mean, again, that Kennedy sent that signal last year, and I think remember when Ginsburg came out and said, we made a mistake with Roe v. Wade, just dropping it on America 7-2, and that was it.
Wow,
that we did not get. No, she signaled what they were going to do.
Wow. She
signaled that. Basically, she was saying, look, you can't just drop a ruling. You got to let America sort of ease into this thing. And so when she said that, I said, oh, that's a tell.
Right.
That's a tell. What she was talking about, was how they're going to respond to this issue. I knew that.
Wow.
Oh, it was a tell from the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, I knew she was going to do that. And so what she was saying is like, look, a cell phone holder. Actually, let me show y'all. So this is my setup right here. So I have this this cool little thing right here, and allows me, I can turn the camera horizontal or vertical. Doesn't matter. Then I have a little tripod here that actually extends even higher, and I have a holder for the iPad as well. So this is pretty cool. So and I think this was like $14.95. So this holder is great. And the thing is great by having a little tripod. Again, it allows me. It's a lot more steadier, as you see. I got a pretty steady hand. Because a lot of folks there, they sit here, they all photo video looking all this here. Nope, you gotta be able to hold it steady. So here we go. All right, I'll send a link out later on Twitter. All right, here we go. Be back on the radio in about 30 seconds. Need to open up my Skype. Hey, folks, welcome back to the Roland Martin Show. Joined by Lauren Victoria Burke, Managing Editor, Politic365.com. We're talking about the Supreme Court decision affirming the right of gays to marry in this country. Joining us on the phone lines right now, she is a social conservative, but also an attorney, Sophia Nelson. Sophia, how you doing?
I'm here.
The Supreme Court, this decision has not come as a surprise. Your thoughts about this decision?
Yeah, Roland, as an admitted attorney to the United States Supreme Court bar, but also as a Christian, I am not surprised by the ruling. In fact, I've been writing on this for years, as you know, and in April I said that I thought the court would do this. It was obvious it was already legal in 37 states. And so it was a logical conclusion for them under the Equal Protection Clause, so I'm not surprised at all.
And obviously, it wasn't a surprise as well. And what do you think the reaction is going to be from evangelicals and from others? I mean, you look at public polling. I think the last poll I saw was around 55% or so nation supporting same-sex marriage, but there's still a significant amount of Americans who don't.
Yeah, well, polls, as you and I both know in our business, are always skewed based on who you ask and how you ask them. I am not sure that I believe that that many Americans necessarily. You know, I'm conservative, so I'm going to say this. I think it's a move towards political correctness where we just support things now or kind of keep our mouth shut because we don't want to be seen as bigoted or as, you know, not embracing whatever new thing happens. So I think that I'm not sure that everybody is necessarily in support of it as much as I think people have just come to say, it is what it is, and I'm not going to say anything about it.
You know, Lauren said something earlier that I think is interesting when she said that, and I think on the point that you're making, that this is one of those decisions, issues where somebody says that, okay, it doesn't necessarily impact me, but it would be, but when it might be something that, like she talked about, if all of a sudden if this became a religious issue, let's say the forcing of a church or denomination to allow gays and lesbians to be, let's say, over marriage ministry, that might cause a different reaction from the public.
Right. As I mentioned, I was tweeting a few moments ago and saying that I'm trying to read through both the opinion and the dissent to see if any exceptions were carved out. My hope was that the Supreme Court would do two things, and I don't see it that they've done it in what I'm reading so far. One, my hope, Roland, was that they would say marriage is defined as between two people, limited to two people, because I think we've opened a door here. And then the second thing that I was hoping they would do is reinforce or reaffirm the freedom of speech and the liberty clauses for people of faith to say that if I'm Pastor Jones and you're in my church, and now that the Supreme Court has ruled marriage is legal and you've been in my church for 20 years and you say, hey, I'm gay, I want to marry my partner, pastor, and I say, no, you know, I don't want to marry you, I object to that on faith grounds. We're now setting pastors up and clergy up to possibly be sued, because at the end of the day, Roland, the Supreme Court has now affirmed with the full faith and credit of the Constitution that gays can be married. And if a pastor decides not to marry them now, that could be a challenge for him or her.
Actually, I was reading earlier, and they might have actually mentioned that in terms of two people. I was, hold on one second, let me pull this up. I think, this is the paragraph. I read it earlier. No union is more profound than marriage, for it embodies the highest ideals of love, fidelity, devotion, sacrifice, and family. In forming a marital union, two people become something greater than once they were. And then later it says, the judgment of the Court of Appeals for the Sixth Circuit is reversed. It is so ordered. So what you spoke of, that specifically, they did reference two people.
Mm-hmm. Well, that is, I think, critical. And that's important, because what we don't want to have is a door opening of, well, let's redefine marriage again and again and again if two men and a woman decided they want to get married. And that's not being funny. There's polygamy that goes on. There are all kind of setups where people feel in their heart that they're married to people, right, that they love them, and therefore they should be able to live together in matrimony. So I'm glad to hear that. Again, I'm scouring through, like you, it's a busy news day with healthcare, with this ruling, with the Charleston shootings, and the president being here in Charleston, and it's a crazy day. So I'm glad to hear that, Roland.
All right, Sylvia Nelson, we certainly appreciate it. Thank you so very much.
Thanks, Roland.
The talking with Lauren Victoria Burke, Politic365.com. You talked about obviously reaction, things along those lines. What do you say when people make the argument that beyond this Supreme Court decision, that the United States, we as a nation, are moving away from a solid core of morals and values, because you hear, I mean, because trust me, you hear that a whole lot,
right?
And obviously you hear that from, and the reason I'm not going to say right-wing evangelicals, because there are individuals who vote liberal, vote Democrat, right, who on morality issues are conservative.
Yeah, I don't think that there's anybody clamoring to bring a case that would make it to the Supreme Court based on something like sodomy or 5 people getting married or something like that, chances are that would get stopped by a lower court and would not be taken by the Supreme Court if it even made it, up the chain, which I doubt that it would. And, like I was saying before, the gay advocacy groups are not interested in those types of cases. I mean, they're not bringing those types of cases. And if you really look at the types of things they go after, whether it's federal policy or in the courts, they tend to be the types of things that are individualistic, that don't affect anyone else. Now, when you go to a church and say, okay, me and my same-sex partner want to be married, and it's a Catholic church, you don't see people forcing anyone to do that. You don't see that yet. So I think that this sort of argument that, okay, this is going to lead to all sorts of things and the doors are going to be open and we're going to be forced to agree, some pastor who's Catholic is going to be forced to agree to marry 2 men. We're not seeing that, and we're not seeing anybody forcing that argument. So I think that it's an argument, it's a problem, a solution looking for a problem, I guess you could say. I mean, it's not really a relevant thing that the gay activists are forcing, and I'd sure as heck like to see examples of where they're forcing that, because I haven't seen it yet.
Okay, so I got to read you this. Is always entertaining to see what Justice Antonin Scalia is going to write.
Right.
And he says something to the effect, to allow persons within a lawful realm to define and express their identity, I would hide my head in a bag. The Supreme Court of the United States has descended from the disciplined legal reasoning of John Marshall and Joseph Story to the mystical aphorisms of the fortune cookie.
Yeah, well, Antonin Scalia is quite frankly a right-wing judge that somehow snuck onto the Supreme Court. It just shows that if you take the test and you get a high LSAT score, you can get into an Ivy League and get picked for a Supreme Court. And then all of a sudden now you're on it. Antonin Scalia, to me, is really kind of one of these guys who's a throwback. He would fit very well in the 20s and 30s. He
argued, and I'm reading his dissent. Mm-hmm. He argues that the Supreme Court has chosen to take this out of the hands of the democracy. He said, when decisions are reached through democratic means, some people would inevitably be disappointed with the results. But those whose views do not prevail at least know that they had their say and accordingly are, in the tradition of our political culture, reconciled to the result of a fair and honest debate. In addition, they can gear up to raise the issue later, hoping to persuade enough on the winning side to think again. That is exactly how our system of government is supposed to work. But today, the court puts a stop to all that. By deciding this question under the Constitution, the court removes it from the realm of democratic decision. There will be consequences to shutting down the political process on an issue of such profound public significance.
Yeah, I'm reading I'm reading another section of Antonin Scalia, and by the standards of Antonin Scalia, this is going to be a particularly unhinged opinion. The passage that you just read, being another example, is sort of interesting because he does have a line in here that says that this ruling is no particular importance to me personally. Well, clearly it is, because he has some views in here and some ideas in here that I think are just sort of outdated. I mean, I think Antonin Scalia is just outdated. I mean, if this was written in 1920 or 1930 or even in 1960s, it would fit quite well. It's 2015 now. We're kind of over, just as we were over interracial marriage, 40 years ago, we're over the gay thing now. People don't care. And again, I can't see where anybody's being forced to do anything because 2 guys down the road want to get married.
Hold tight. Going to a break. We'll take your phone calls when we come back on the Roland Martin Show.
Yeah, he's got some crazy stuff in here. Look at this.
He said, it is one thing for the majority to conclude that the Constitution protects a right to same-sex marriage. It is something else to portray everyone who does not share the majority's better informed understanding as bigoted.
Wow. What was the vote? Was it 5-4?
5-4.
Oh, wow.
Whoa, this is his final line. If you are among the many Americans of whatever sexual orientation who favor expanding same-sex marriage, by all means, celebrate today's decision. Celebrate the achievement of a desired goal. Celebrate the opportunity for a new expression of commitment to a partner. Celebrate the availability of new benefits, but do not celebrate the Constitution. It had nothing to do with it. I respectfully dissent.
Wow.
Who was that? Was that still Scalia I was reading? Who was that?
Sounded like him. Not sure.
No.
Who was that? Somebody else?
Was that Roberts I was just reading?
Was it? I got a number.
That's what I'm checking.
Of Congress telling me that the president's going to talk at 2 o'clock at the funeral.
Yeah, it was Scalia.
Okay. Let's say, what is it? Because if that's Roberts. I don't know how he can write that. I mean, that's Scalia. That has nothing to do with the Constitution. Very strange. He's just a really strange guy. But you see, he's devout Catholic. I think that's what's really coming out there.
Folks, welcome back to the Roland Martin Show. Number to call is 888-669-2281, 888-669-2281. If you want to share your thoughts about today's Supreme Court decision with regards to same-sex marriage, give me a call. Again, the number is 888-669-2281, 888-669-2281. In just a moment, President Barack Obama is going to be speaking from the White House with regards to today's ruling. We will carry that live as well. I'm getting that set up as we speak. I'm chatting with Lauren Victoria Burke. Lauren, it's always interesting to me when we look at these decisions, when we look at these Supreme Court decisions, and oftentimes people crack me up because they don't really understand that. Well, no, I'll say this one. There's this belief that even though it's a 5-4 decision, that again, if you believe in same-sex marriage, you win, but the dissents matter. I don't think a lot of people really understand that those things do matter.
Well, I think the dissents matter, particularly when you have a hotly worded dissent that is so opposite of the majority opinion. We've seen this numerous times with Associate Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and of course she writes very well, so it's very exciting sometimes to listen to her dissents. I find it kind of interesting, though, to hear Antonin Scalia that this decision today, even though he's, sort of sarcastically says, celebrate this if you want, but it has nothing to do with the Constitution. But in the 14th Amendment of the Constitution, we have something called the Equal Protection Clause, which has been with us since 1868, which effectively just provides that there will be equal protection. The states don't have the right to deny equal protection of any citizens under state law. So I'm not certain what Antonin Scalia is talking about. You know, hell, I've taken the LSAT a few times and I've applied to law school a few times. I'm not an attorney, but these are basic things in our Constitution. 14th Amendment, the 4th Amendment. I mean, I don't understand where he's coming from, but his dissent, as usual, is very hotly worded. The president's coming. But
the reason I make that point about dissents is that a dissent could show up in a Supreme Court ruling 100 years from now.
Oh, right, absolutely.
And that's the thing that I try to explain to people when we're talking about Supreme Court justices. That one justices are on the bench for life. Those justices have lifetime appointments.
Right.
But what they say can literally impact a judicial ruling 100, 200 years later.
Right.
And that's my point. So there have been times when there's been a ruling favoring something, doesn't matter what it is, and a Supreme Court justice might cite a dissent of a justice or of a Supreme Court justice from 100 years ago.
Right, and that's the way the court is supposed to actually, interpret the law. They're supposed to use heavily precedent that was set beforehand. But, we have these cases with regard to gay issues and race issues. Frankly, they've had to break precedents many times. Obviously, we saw it Plessy Ferguson when Brown v. Board was decided, because you just have these sort of laws that come about that are so in conflict with our Constitution. And we've obviously seen it with African Americans several times with the Supreme Court rulings. And I think we'll see it with gay rights as well. We've seen it already, and we're likely to see it again. You're right, though. I mean, so many times the justices refer to rulings 80 and 100 years, and they have their clerks go find, an old rulings and quotes from 80 and 100 years prior. But again, this is sort of basic constitutional stuff. So a lot of these gay issues just have to do with equal protection. I mean, there's really not a whole lot. I mean, how are you going to argue that two people who are gay shouldn't get the same protections as two people who are straight?
This is what Clarence Thomas wrote. Under the broader definition, can they claim that the states have restricted the ability to go about their daily lives as they would be able to absent governmental restrictions? Petitioners do not ask this court to order the states to stop restricting their ability to enter same-sex relationships, to engage in intimate behavior, to make vows to their partners in public ceremonies, to engage in religious wedded ceremonies, to hold themselves out as married or to raise children. The states have imposed no such restrictions. And his reading Thomas, his is more legal as opposed to Scalia, who loves to take shots. What's interesting here, he says, the states have refused to grant them governmental entitlements.
Well, see, what Thomas is arguing is that nobody's stopping you from getting married. You can go have a civil ceremony. The state's not coming in and saying, hey, you two can't get married. But the problem with that argument is that in certain states, you couldn't get the license. You weren't treated equally as a straight couple walking in and getting married. That's what this case is really about. So Thomas is arguing because you effectively can have a legal union. What's the big deal? What do you want from us? So that's
number to call is 888-669-2281. Let's go to Gigi in Texas. Gigi, you're on the Roland Martin Show. What say you, Gigi? Okay, I'm still listening. Go right ahead. The Bluetooth is on. You said there's judgment?
Held accountable for this action.
Okay. Well, look. First of all, thank you for your phone call. I mean, look, people could say the exact same thing after the Loving decision, things along those lines. The bottom line is this here. You have Supreme Court decisions that are made.
I think they're disconnected.
You have Supreme Court decisions that are made every single. You have Supreme Court decisions that are made every single day, and people are going to disagree. I mean, I'll give you an example. Yesterday, Chief Justice John Roberts was ripped apart, was assailed, was trashed by the right. Today, he votes with the 4 in the minority against same-sex marriage, and he'll be praised by the right. I mean, this is what happens. I mean, this is what happens in America. This is what happens where decisions are made by jurists, by the Supreme Court. So people are going to have their opinion one way or the other. In just a moment, President Barack Obama, he is right now in the Oval Office, getting his final thoughts regarding this issue. I would not be surprised that just like yesterday, he will be joined at his side by Vice President Joe Biden, standing there with him. I mean, keep in mind, it was Vice President Joe Biden who actually forced President Obama's hand on same-sex marriage when he gave it an interview on Meet the Press, where he said they had an absolute right to do so. And then, of course, the White House was not happy at all, with that particular decision for Vice President Joe Biden to step out there and to actually make that particular statement. And so that's what he had to say. So we'll see what the president has to say in a moment. He will come out and in a moment he will come out and make his statement to the country. You can give me your comment. Do you agree with the Supreme Court decision? Do you disagree with the Supreme Court decision? Give me a call, 888-669-2281, 888-669-2281. I'm going to go to a break in a second. And we're going to, again, take your phone calls. We come back, 888-669-2281, 888-669-2281. It is a huge day of breaking news. We also, folks, have not forgotten about Pastor Clementa Pinckney. His funeral will be taking place, actually should be starting about right now at TD Arena in Charleston, South Carolina. And so we will be tapping into that live stream as well to hear what is being said there as well. A very sad day in Charleston, South Carolina. Some would say a national day of mourning as we focus on the victims of that horrific crime where lives were taken, 9 people killed by a white racist terrorist there in Charleston. So number to call, 888-669-2281. This is the Roland Martin Show. I'll be back in a moment. I got you. Huh?
Associated Press.
You got to what?
I gotta take some pictures for Associated Press. You don't know this about me.
Oh, hey.
I do freelance photography for AP.
You know wrong with that?
You know, and it pays too much.
They all.
That's right. Not even a small factor.
Why am I not getting
Sound.
I'm not getting something? Oh, that product explains it.
Yeah, why is that not coming up? It's weird.
See if this works.
In doing so, they've reaffirmed. And then sometimes there are days like this.
That is.
When that slow, steady effort
Why am I not getting audio? Come on now. Sound, output, headphone port. Right, I'm going out. Come on now.
if they decide to move or even visit another. This ruling will strengthen all of our communities by offering to all loving same-sex couples the dignity of marriage across this great land. In my second inaugural address, I said that if we are truly created equal, then surely the love we commit to one another must be equal as well. It is gratifying to see that principle enshrined into law by this decision. This ruling is a victory for Jim Ogre Ufol and the other plaintiffs in the case. It's a victory for gay and lesbian couples who have fought so long for basic civil rights. It's a victory for children whose families will now be recognized as equal to any other. It's a victory for the allies and friends and supporters who spent years, even decades, working and praying for change to come. And this ruling is a victory for America. This decision affirms what millions of Americans already believe in their hearts. When all Americans are treated as equal, we are all more free.
See, thanks a lot.
My administration has been guided by that idea. It's why we stopped defending the so-called Defense of Marriage Act, and why we were pleased when the court finally struck down a central provision of that discriminatory law. It's why we ended Don't Ask, Don't Tell.
Yeah, come on.
From extending full marital benefits to federal employees and their spouses, to expanding hospital visitation rights for LGBT patients and their loved ones, we've made real progress in advancing equality for LGBT Americans in ways that were unimaginable not too long ago.
Playing the audio stream from the website. That's why it's a little delayed.
I know change for many of our LGBT brothers and sisters must have seemed so slow for so long. But compared to so many other issues, America's shift has been so quick. I know that Americans of goodwill continue to hold a wide range of views on this issue. Opposition in some cases has been based on sincere and deeply held beliefs. All of us who welcome today's news should be mindful of that fact. Recognize different viewpoints. Revere our deep commitment to religious freedom. But today should also give us hope that on the many issues with which we grapple, often painfully, real change is possible. Shifts in hearts and minds is possible. And those who have come so far on their journey to equality have a responsibility to reach back and help others join them. Because all our differences, we are one people, stronger together than we could ever be alone. That's always been our story. We are big and vast and diverse, a nation of people with different backgrounds and beliefs, different experiences and stories, but bound by our shared ideal that no matter who you are or what you look like, how you started off, or how and who you love, America's a place where you can write your own destiny. We are a people who believe that every single child is entitled to life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness. There's so much more work to be done to extend the full.
Oh, come on.
Who stood up? Who came out?
Audio stop.
Who talked to parents? Parents who loved their children no matter what. Folks who were willing to endure bullying and taunts.
Gotcha, no problem.
And stayed strong. And came to believe in themselves and who they were. And slowly made an entire country realize that love is love. What an extraordinary achievement. What a vindication of the belief that ordinary people can do extraordinary things. What a reminder of what Bobby Kennedy once said about how small actions can be like pebbles being thrown into a still lake. Ripples of hope cascade outwards and change the world. Those countless, often anonymous heroes, they deserve our thanks. They should be very proud. America should be very proud. Thank you.
Hearing from the president there, his reaction to the Supreme
That was
Court.
President Obama speaking in the White House just a few moments ago. And he was, of course, addressing the Supreme Court decision with regards to same-sex marriage. The court ruled in a 5-4 decision affirming the right of gays and lesbians to marry, or states to actually provide those various licenses for them to marry. I want to go to the phone lines right now. Let's go to, let's see here. First of all, the number to call is 888-669-2281, 888-669-2281. Angelo in Georgia, you're on, Angelo in Georgia, you're on the Roland Martin Show.
Say again?
Angelo, you on the air?
Yeah, I was calling in about the Supreme Court ruling. And I mean, I don't agree with it. And the reason I don't agree with it is just from a religious standpoint. If you go back and read the Bible, you know, God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah because of homosexuality. So, I mean, this ruling right here, in my opinion, is opening up Pandora's box with no restraints, and I just don't agree with it at all.
All right. I truly appreciate your phone call. Thank you so very much. Let me go to VK in Georgia. VK, you're on the Roland Martin Show. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Ron. How are you?
Doing great. What's your comment?
I disagree with the court's ruling. I am a clergyman, pastor, and one of the individuals called in and stated that what we want to do. Well, as far as I'm concerned, I will never marry a gay couple. I'm going to stand on my principles, my faith, even if it means going to jail. That's what I'll do. I believe that this country has become blind in truth, and we can't see 1 centimeter beyond the darkness that has not comprehended our light. The light of this nation has gone out, and I feel that there will be retributions for this. And it's praying time. I really believe that it's a sad day in the United States of America. And I just pray that in some way there will be some mercy from God. I just really believe that we've lost our way. This is not of God.
All right. I thank you for your phone call, sir. Thank you so very much. Let me go to Miss Williams in Florida. Miss Williams, you're on the Roland Martin Show. Miss Williams?
Yes.
You on the air?
Yes. I'm Helen Williams, calling from Florida, and very much against this ruling. In the Bible, it says Adam and Eve. It says nothing about Steve and Steve. As a country, we have lost our way, and we need to go back to our churches and to our values. Thank you.
All right, folks. Number to call is 888-669-2281, 888-669-2281 to share your thoughts, your perspective about the Supreme Court decision. We're also going to talk, folks, about Reverend Pinckney. And the question I'm posing to you is, what do you want to hear President Barack Obama say to those assembled today for the funeral of Reverend Clementa Pinckney? What do you want to be said? Number to call is 888-669-2281, 888-669-2281. I will take your phone calls when we come back right here on the Roland Martin Show. Hey, folks, welcome back to the Roland Martin Show. Thousands are assembled as we speak in TD Arena for the funeral of Reverend Clementa Pinckney, also state senator. The venue seats some 5,000 people. And it is a packed audience. It is a packed audience. The question I'm posing to you, and I'm very curious about this, is what do you want President Barack Obama to say to those assembled, to the nation, and to the world in his eulogy? What needs to be stated from that podium? The number to call is 888-669-2281. 888-669-2281. The service started at 11 o'clock. It started about 30 minutes ago. And there are so many who are gathered that they started lining up. They started lining up at 5 a.m. 5 a.m. The venue is packed. And people are expressing their anger, they're expressing their love, they're expressing their faith in different ways, and there are all types of emotions going on through lots of different people. And it is amazing to watch what is going on. It is amazing to watch this outpouring. And literally, I had a woman on the show earlier, and she said, Roland, we are still in shock. She said, let's be clear. We are still in shock. I mean, and I think, and this is why I'm not one of these folks who is quickly running past. I mean, people have to have an opportunity to heal. People have to have an opportunity to heal. I'm going to go ahead and carry. And this is a live stream of the church service. It's happening right now for Clementa Pinckney. And I just think that on this day, we give him our honor, we give him our focus as we stand in one with the people in Charleston. And so, for long as I'm on the air today, I am going to carry the funeral service of Clementa Pinckney. there's a combined mass choir who is singing along with the Emmanuel AME Church. So I'll be anchoring that. If you want to, if you actually want to watch the service, what you can do is you can go to the various Charleston, South Carolina local television stations who are carrying these services live on their websites. You can also go to news1.com if you as well. Again, go to news1.com. Okay, it's not hard to find TV1 on DirecTV, channel 328. TV1 is channel 328 on DirecTV. Real simple. All you got to do is type in search and type TV1. If y'all want to see the church service live, go to news1.com. News1.com is live streaming the church service. You also have, folks, a number of things happening, a number of speakers. In addition, the daughters of Clementa Pinckney both published poems in the official. I'm going to pull those up shortly. I'm also now going to make sure that we go to break. We'll go to break with music and come back again from the funeral service of State Senator Pastor Clementa Pinckney in Charleston, South Carolina. one of the things that they also made sure is that because the president and the vice president will be there, everyone was going to be obviously go through the McDonald's when they get there. I got to go to a break. We come back with more on the Roland Martin Show as we broadcast the memorial funeral service of Pastor Clementa Pinckney from Charleston, South Carolina, right here on the Roland Martin Show. Y'all want to see the funeral service? Simply go to news1.com. We're streaming it live as we speak. Okay, why are you saying what the F is this? It's a radio show. What you're listening to is the funeral service. You know what? Hey, Boat Plug, you got one more shot or you getting blocked. I'm not gonna have that. I'm not gonna have that language and that attitude. Not today, as we celebrate Pinckney's funeral. Not gonna happen. I don't give a damn who you are. What we're doing is we're broadcasting, we're streaming on my radio show as well the audio from the funeral service of Reverend Clementa Pinckney. Folks, if you also want to watch it, you can go to news1.com if you want to watch it as well. But I ain't going to have no disrespect. He was a state senator, he was a pastor, he's also my fraternity brother. It ain't going to happen. Y'all, I'm not getting upset. I'm just letting folks know. No, Alpha Phi Alpha. That's why I got these on. Got the Alpha cufflinks on today.
From a trusted source, this is the Roland Martin Show on the Empowerment Radio Network.
Global news from a trusted source. This is the Roland Martin Show on the Empowerment Radio Network.
Folks, welcome back to the Roland Martin Show. What is happening right now at the funeral service of Reverend Clementa Pinckney? A litany of African Methodist Episcopal bishops are walking into. They're walking into the church service. The church service is taking place at TD Arena. Leading them in is the pastor, the bishop over that district, who is the interim senior pastor of the church. It is a rather it's rather sad. It's rather sad day. In so many ways. And folks are all standing as the clergy are coming in. As I said, there's some 5,000 people who are gathered in TD Arena. There are thousands more who could not get inside. It's also a very, very hot day in Charleston, South Carolina. So now the bishops are reciting the opening prayer as well. If you want to watch the live stream, again, go to news1.com. We are carrying the funeral of State Senator Pastor Clementa Pinckney live right now. You can hear the bishops as they enter. If y'all want to see it, go to news1.com.
Begging bread. For I look unto the hills which cometh my help, and my help cometh from the Lord.
Obama arrives at 1:30.
This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Look unto the hills which cometh our help, and our help cometh from the Lord.
As the bishop is speaking, the family of Pastor Pinckney, they are entering.
Bless us and we shall be blessed. Keep us and we shall be kept by your power.
There's his mother, there's his brother.
It's God's amazing grace.
I'll be in DC 10:10.
That we are able to be here at this hour. And for that, oh God, we say thank you. Because we realize that if it had not been for the Lord, where would we be? Strengthen us for this day and for this very hour. For the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Maketh me to lie down in green pastures. Leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in right paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. And I shall dwell in the house of the Lord my whole life long. The earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof, and the world of those who live in it. For he has founded it upon the seas and established it upon the floods. And the people of God shall say, Amen. We come at this hour for the homegoing celebration of our departed and beloved brother, the Reverend Senator Clemente Pinckney. To God be the glory. To this bereaved family, Sister Jennifer and the two girls, to the bishops of the African Methodist Episcopal Church, to the general officers and connectional officers and the ecumenical bishops who are here with us this day, to the clergy and laity, to all of the elected officials. We want you to know that we share in your loss. And we want to remind ourselves that God is our refuge and a present help in the time of trouble. And for that we say, to God be the glory. Come now as we celebrate this homegoing service for our dearly beloved brother, and on behalf of the Right Reverend Richard Franklin Norris, the presiding prelate of the 7th Episcopal District of the African Methodist Episcopal Church, which encompassed the whole state of South Carolina, and with nearly 600 churches, we stand strong to say that we are with you as God is with you. And for that we say thank you. And to Mother Mary Ann Norris, our Episcopal supervisor, and all the supervisors who are here, we thank God for you. Let us follow this worship guide for this homegoing celebration as it is printed. And we come now to sing as we are called to worship by the senior bishop of the African Methodist Episcopal Church. We ask that you receive him, the Right Reverend John Richard Bryan. Hear ye him.
In case there is any confusion in the room, in case you've been confused by the long line or by the television cameras, please know that what we enter into now is worship. What we've been through and what we have to go through, it would not be possible without a God. And we believe that this God of ours is more than able to take us through a time like this time. And so we invite you to come and worship with us this morning. Put aside every weight, put aside every spirit of despondency and depression and despair. Wherever God is present, there is joy in the house. Come on, let's praise a God. Let's worship a God. Let's celebrate a God who brings victory out of seeming defeat.
now have a musical selection by the Mother Emanuel Amy Church Choir. He's done so much for me. Turn to somebody and say, he's done so much for me.
We'll be back on the Roland Martin Show in a moment.
Let us join our voices and blend it with theirs. Sing one of the great.
We'll be back with the Roland Martin Show after these important messages on the empowerment.
For me.
News, politics, and information keeping America updated from our perspective. This is the Roland Martin Show on the Empowerment Radio Network.
Welcome back to the Roland Martin Show. This is live coverage of the funeral service of Reverend Clemente Pinckney, happening right now at TD Arena in Charleston, South Carolina. He was, of course, one of 9 people shot and killed by a racist terrorist in Emmanuel AME Church last week, June 17th, as they were in Bible study. We're going to keep carrying this until we're off the air, because we feel as if this is a critically important story. Pastor Pinckney was 41 years old.
It's all right to clap your hands now. It's all right to lift up your voices. I have permission that we have changed the TD Arena into a sanctuary. And we ought to give God some praise up in here. If I could get about 12 folks that will stand up and give God some praise. Yeah. You got a reason, Sister Jennifer, you got a reason to praise his name.
Yes. You can watch the funeral right now on C-SPAN if you want.
It's gonna be all right.
You can watch it on C-SPAN right now.
Before we have reflections from our various community partners, let me acknowledge the
You can live stream on news1.com right now.
Who's here? If you would stand and let us see you. My goodness, yeah. My. Sister Jennifer, family. Our house has come to your house. Members of the General Assembly of the state of South Carolina, why don't you stand? Let folks see you. Well, since I've done that, let me see how many clergy we have in the house. Minister, stand up. Let me. The state of South Carolina shows up here. Yeah. Now, so I'd be able to go back to where I'm going. Why don't everybody stand up and give Reverend Senator Clemente Pinckney a good round of applause and say, run! Yeah, come on. He's all right. It's all right, you can cheer. Let me see that. And then let me take this opportunity as we clear this before those who come before us to have reflection. I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge our friends and partners as we've gone through these past several days. I want to thank the governor of the state of South Carolina who's here. For helping to bring all the resources of state government, and along with what I call the nation's mayor, Mayor Riley. He's done an excellent. Then most certainly our U.S. Senator Tim Scott, who's helped us in many ways. Now this next person really don't need no introduction to anybody else, but he is a native South Carolinian. He is a member of the Morris Brown African Methodist Episcopal Church here in Charleston. Our own U.S. Congressman Jim Clyburn. Come on. Yeah, good evening. Yeah. And then let me take this opportunity to, she was my U.S. Senator in New York, and then she became the Secretary of State. Hillary Clinton took the Hillary. Sister Jennifer, and our two girls and family. I want you to know that the world has come to you and to South Carolina for the poise and dignity, along with our two girls and your family, have demonstrated how we handle our grief, but we hold on to our faith. No weapon formed against us. It's all right, no weapon formed against us. No evil and separate us from the love of God. Now, my brothers and sisters, those who have been listed in your worship guide on this day, we ask that you come as your name is appear and give reflections. Come in the order in which you are listed. And once more and again, we are in worship. And this is no longer the TD Arena. We have transformed it into a sanctuary. And let us govern ourselves accordingly. Come.
Thank you all warmly. I am honored to be one of those here in the sanctuary of the Lord.
You must
to honor one so very dear.
Your fruits and
to
vegetables.
recognize a family who we love, even though perhaps we have not spoken as much as we would like. We care deeply. And in this place where the music that has been so glorious continues to echo in this space,
James St. John, the Senate Chaplain for the South Carolina Senate, he is speaking right now.
Please bow in prayer with me, my friends.
I wanted some.
The psalmist, O God, affirms boldly in the 119th Psalm, may your unfailing love be my comfort. Indeed, Lord, we are truly comforted in our times of need always by your love, by your reminders of grace and mercy, by the reality of your constant presence with us, and by your gift of hope for the future. As we gather here in this arena in Charleston today with hearts still bruised and hurting by the horrific events of Wednesday night a week ago at Mother Emanuel Church, we know that we absolutely must turn to you, that you, dear God, are our source of consolation. Those we have lost, Clementa, Sharonda, Cynthia, Tywanza, Myra, Ethel, Daniel, DePayne, Susie, are gone from us, sadly.
Looks like we got a slight interruption with our stream, so we're trying to get that taken care of. And again, there are so many folks who are gathered in TD Arena as we speak for this funeral service. I see, yes, sitting next to Congressman Clyburn, Hillary Clinton, next to also Mignon Clyburn, his daughter, the FCC Commissioner, Senator Tim Scott. Also see him sitting there, Governor Nikki Haley of South Carolina as well. Just so a shot of them seated there. We're going to try to get this live stream taken care of, so you'll be able to hear the program because this is an important story. It really is. It is a huge story that speaks to where we are as a nation.
Of the Gressett building in Columbia, much less there at the State House in the Senate chamber. There. The warmth of his smile, the depth of his caring spirit, his insightful viewpoints cannot be replaced. But, dear Lord, what we all can do to honor Senator Pinckney and the 8 others who were so tragically taken from us is to work harder than ever to tear down walls of separation in society. To come together as Americans under our nation's proud flag and to celebrate the flag of this state we love, and to embrace one another in a spirit of unity that will bring greater blessings than ever to each woman, man, young person, and child here in South Carolina and throughout our nation. By your grace, O God, may we honor you by our positive responses to the recent events. And may we face the coming days in the loving spirit of your Son, our Savior, in whose wondrous and glorious name we pray. Amen. Amen. God bless you all.
prophet is not without honor, but in his own country, amongst his own kin, and in his own house. There you have it. Here lived Clementa C. Pinckney, a prodigy walking amongst us. So much has been said and will be said about Senator Pinckney, and it is extra special for those that knew him. And I'll add my song to the choir of praises for the man he was and the life he lived. Like others who knew Senator Pinckney, we will miss hearing his voice. I would miss the passion for helping others. I would miss him working on legislation that sought to lift people up. I would miss him sitting across the Senate chambers from me and spending time with him on various occasions outside of work. I would miss being his personal lawyer. I would miss being his sweet mate with our sweet Mary Lou. We will always miss our friend. But know this, Senator Pinckney, without a doubt, loved you. He loved people. He loved serving people. He answered life's most pervasive question, and that is, what are you doing for others? He loved helping people. It didn't matter who you were or where you came from, he extended a helping hand and an open heart to all walks of life. That's just the kind of man he was. He loved his role as a pastor of his beloved Mother Emanuel, and he loved his role in the South Carolina Senate in his beloved District 45. Like any other great individual whose life has abruptly and tragically come to an end, we all will miss the man that he would have become. That sweet spirit in the Senate, the conscience of the Senate. And because of that, we wanted to continue with him, so we passed a resolution in the South Carolina Senate, so we'll hang his portrait in the Senate amongst those great people of South Carolina, so it'll be hung for the ages. And claim all the change that you wanted to see, and all the change that you wanted to do, and all the things that we talked to. Because of you, we will see the Confederate flag come down here in the state of South Carolina. You're the one that did it. It's coming down.
All right. I'm working on it. Okay.
Clem championed greater access to health care for the poor through Medicaid expansion. He sought to end and alleviate impact on certain diseases and conditions of
global news from a trusted source. This is the Roland Martin Show on the Empowerment Radio Network.
Global news from a trusted source. This is the Roland Martin Show on the Empowerment Radio Network.
For a fair justice system. He wanted to make certain to have important in Jasper. He worked really hard. But most recently and eloquently, he pushed for the use of body cameras to protect those from those who are sworn to serve and protect us in one of his greatest speeches ever. It seemed that his voice always had its greatest impact when it was being used for the voiceless. Perhaps that's why it resonates with us. I will miss his leadership and counsel to guide us through difficult times and days to come, particularly in times just like this. If there was one area of his life where Senator Pinckney was a little selfless, I would say it had to be his family. He loved his family, and that included his Mother Emanuel Church family and his Senate family, and he loved all of you. He called himself an itinerant preacher, and his first calling was to God. Jennifer, you've been amazing.
Trying to set it, y'all.
Clementa,